Hey guys, it's your boys, the Civilized group. Today we got a few
What now?
topics.
Yes.
The Civilized group.
Yes.
Who said? Who said? Who said civilized here?
I said civilized.
Okay, sure.
So we got a few topics for this podcast. We got Endgame being re-released, which I find a bit scummy.
Yes, I
EA
did.
and no, EA and Epic Games in a court hearing with the UK Parliament.
Can we start with one
And
topic first, please?
yeah, we'll do that. I'm just going over every topic. And in the Sudan context, where the Sudan Meal Project was
Yes.
exposed as a scam.
And also the recent war, the US-Iran war.
Indeed.
Yep. So, topic one: Endgame being re-released in a last-ditch effort to beat Avatar, as it's only $40 million away. It's only
Yes.
$40 million away from
But I
beating
think
it.
it will. That is without inflation. But if you do intake and consider inflation, it is quite a long way away.
Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
like 500 million away with
Yeah.
inflation.
That's a lot.
It really should be.
It
They
should
really
be
should.
adjusted. It should be
Yeah,
adjusted
should
to
be
inflation,
adjusted for that.
but they don't consider that.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So it's getting re-released with 6 minutes of extra content.
Wow,
So
Yes.
just
amazing.
deleted scenes.
But a lot of people will not be willing to kind of, because I know a lot of people, what they do is they record it in the cinema and then they leak it. So a lot of people are not going to be willing to pay money again to watch the movie. But let's see.
But I think all the fanboys are going to see it, and that's going to result in Endgame beating Avatar.
Yes.
I'm actually fine with Avatar staying number one now because I think this is a bit scummy and greedy.
Yes. They were very confident that, I'm pretty sure they were very confident that it was going to be going quite slow now since it's been, I think,
And
about over 2 months, just over 2 months. Today is 2 months since it came out.
and they're very content on releasing advertisements saying you should see it again and again.
Yes.
And again,
They really want that money.
Yes.
they're like EA, but like not EA.
EA without the games.
Exactly.
So do you guys reckon it's quite greedy and scummy?
Yes, I do.
I mean,
okay. So
never
actually,
mind.
if you look at it from their kind of perspective, they kind of need to, because that's their job. So if I were in their position, like kind of the president, if I was Kevin Feige, I would have done the same thing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
I
it's all
mean,
about
probably that
beating
is true.
competition. Yes, it's all about beating competition. So you have to like grasp the concept of their opinion.
Exactly. So topic 2, EA and Epic Games
EA.
getting summoned to a court hearing with the UK Parliament. EA is in for their loot boxes, which has been considered gambling to many governments in the last 2 years. Loot boxes can lead to gambling addiction or solidify it.
Yes.
It's funny. It's funny that we were just talking about EA just then. What do you know? The world's full of somewhat debatably scammy, scubby. What's that? Scrappy business tactics.
Mm-hmm.
Bodgy business. Well, it's actually not bodgy for them. Bodgy for the consumer, maybe.
So the MPs were concerned about the main title, FIFA, which has an E rating for everyone, so kids are exposed to loot boxes and basically gambling.
Yeah, and also the gaming disease has been recognized by the United Nations recently. It was a few weeks ago, I think, 1 or 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. So,
I think what's really bad about this is that it's real life money. It's not in-game in-game money. If it was in-game and the consequences were fair, well, people could in fact learn that it's not. But then there's also the option of why people get addicted is because they. So a common reason why they do get addicted is because they do win and then they think that they're gonna win again. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that just
and
completely
also Fortnite's
invalidates
even
my
being
point.
blamed now for divorce.
Thumbs up.
Fortnite's also being blamed for divorce now.
Yeah, it is. So, EA dismissed these claims that loot boxes lead to gambling, and instead dismissed them and said that they are actually surprise mechanics. So they are similar to Kinder eggs, and those all those egg toy things where you get a random toy.
Yep. Like the little Lego packets you used to be able to buy, and you'd get like a random Lego figure. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess the difference with them is you're going to get something like you kind of somewhat expect what you're going to get. You're going to get a Lego figure. With this,
Mm-hmm.
you do not know what you're going to get. You might get
Yeah. You
practically
might get you might get a 1 and a 0, or you might get a 0 and a 1.
exactly exactly because really it's all just bits and bytes.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's zeros and ones, they're just bits.
So as for Epic Games, um, they've been brought in because of
Being not so epic.
yeah, they've been brought in for addiction and
Yes.
safety as well, because people
Yes.
are getting addicted to the game, and
That's not safe.
the UK government reckons they should put in measures to actually keep people from playing it too often.
Yes, but if you look at it from like kind of an economical perspective and a business perspective, look how much money is on the line if they were to do that. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
a
trying to say?
lot of
Like
money's
that's a
in.
lot of money. Like let's say you ban, like the average person spends probably hundreds of dollars on the game, and
Mm-hmm.
millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of people play the game. That that's also like because every purchase is taxed, so that's kind of a on the UK.
It is. And also child predators in the game don't
Yes,
exactly help.
there
And
are there are a lot of child predators. Child predators are Fortnite predator being groomed children in game.
mm-hmm.
It's like most people I'm sure have not personally
Yeah,
experienced it. It's not on a
a recent
huge scale, but it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
yes
That
a recent
documented.
a recent article on BBC is saying that a 41-year-old man accused of using the hit video game Fortnite, obviously, to initiate sexual activity with children, has been arrested in Florida. Okay, he's
Flo-
accused of
Florida
unlawful
man
sex.
arrested for playing Fortnite.
Yes, he's accused of unlawful sex with the minor and possessing indecent images and videos of at least one victim. So people are using this to their advantage. It kind of reminds me of remember a few years ago the Pokemon Go incident. Where a lot of pedophiles were meeting up at the kind of the stops where you could collect the Pokeball.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's quite similar.
Yes, he
So
groomed a 17-year-old. Okay, well,
Although I do think it's less of an issue than in the Pokemon Go instance, just because there is literally between when you meet them first there is a physical barrier separating you, and that's
yes,
I don't
that
know
is good. So
10,000
yeah.
kilometers
I am in favor of
between them.
Fortnite on that since it's online.
Whilst Pokemon Go, you could be standing literally right next to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
But that
Brandon,
is not saying that is not
Yeah.
that isn't it's still I'm not saying that it isn't a problem, but compared to others, then
What's the question?
it has less of
so Brandon, do you reckon they should put in measures to stop child groomers in Fortnite?
No. See, I don't think it's a company's place to regulate in areas where the law fails to. See, it's a company that has corporate interests, and
Yeah,
it's
you're
not
right on
the
that.
company's interest
That is true.
to restrict its players and restrict what its players can do. So basically, it's a failure of the law, not a failure of
May I
Epic
ask
Games.
ask one thing? How
There
would
should
the
be
law
stricter
exactly
regulation in this
help that?
case.
I mean, it already is legal. Or are you more stating that the law that
Yep.
there should be a law in place to stop to force developers to do that type of thing?
Yeah, I reckon there should be a law, and
Yeah.
and plus the game doesn't have like a verification for people to verify that they're actually 12 years and older.
Because
Well, that's always
I
hard
was
to
gonna say
implement, is it?
one thing is
That's the nature of the
technically,
internet.
yeah,
It's anonymity,
according to the
right, Maxi?
let's say it was a technically
Right?
according. It's just gone out of my mind.
And also, one of the MPs, Mr. Hart, expressed concern when
Yes.
told that Epic Games had not commissioned any research to finding out whether people were developing compulsive playing habits. So basically, so
Why are you
basically,
laughing?
because I find
Maxi, child abuse is not funny.
It indeed
it's just
isn't.
it's not. I'm not laughing at that. It's Fortnite's a bit, iffy.
You're right, Maxi.
Okay, let's next topic.
Okay.
So everyone's heard about Sudan now. It's been talked about to death.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and how abuse, killings, mass murders, so on. So
I've actually got a bit of a video which summarizes what's happened quite well, and I'm going to play that.
These pictures broke my heart. Like thousands of Sudanese diaspora, I've been watching in horror as the footage from Khartoum paints a picture of terror and violence. I'm Mohamed Hashim. I'm a Sudanese journalist at the BBC. In April, I went home to witness the birth of a new era. Hundreds of thousands of Sudanese were on the streets of Khartoum rejoicing at the removal of President Omar al-Bashir. My emotions then couldn't be more opposite to how they are now. This is the former long-time dictator Omar al-Bashir. His rule was characterized by political oppression, economic depression, and war. Bashir was eventually overthrown through a peaceful sit-in earlier this year, and people took to the streets in days of celebration. A military council had promised a transition to civilian rule, but talks broke down with civilian representatives. The long-standing sit-in was brutally broken up in a day of bloody violence. Well, you have the protesters, literally millions of Sudanese who occupied the streets for months. Their main representative body is the SPA, the Sudanese Professionals Association. They want an international investigation into Joe's massacre before they resume talks. And on the other hand, you have the TMC, Sudan's Transitional Military Council. Several of the original members of the 9-person council have now resigned or been replaced. Its most powerful figure is this man, the deputy head, Lieutenant General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, aka Hemeti. He is a controversial figure with a bloody past. His rapid support forces, what locals call the Janjaweed, were responsible for June's massacre. Most African and Western countries have backed the protesters. This man, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, flew to Sudan to try and broker a new agreement between the two sides. The United States has also weighed in and sent an envoy to Khartoum. Saudi Arabia, too, has urged for further discussion, but stopped short of condemning the military violence, perhaps fearing the protests could inspire similar events on its own soil. But now, many Sudanese protesters are taking to social media to express their fears about further brutal clampdowns. There is a very real fear that this could become very bad very quickly. For my beloved homeland, that is something that fills my heart with dread.
Okay, and we're back from the break. Or well, for you it was just a video, but
So I think I'm just gonna leave.
okay.
Okay.
Well, that was well. I don't know what I was expecting there.
Okay. So next topic, yeah.
So basically there was this basically on Instagram there was this account called Sudan Meal Project, and they gathered nearly 40,000 followers in less than a week. However, they were removed for violating Instagram's policies.
Mm-hmm.
Such
Which was
as
good. Policies such as not basically
False
being
promises.
basically false advertisement and false promises, which they could not back up, because if you were to look on their page, they had no links to anywhere. All they said was they're gonna give people food for each time somebody would share it on their story, which, as far as I know, it would also be quite hard to check to see every time someone shared their
Mm-hmm.
story. And
yes,
40,000 people have.
So there was a DM. Credit goes to exposing
his
Insta scam.
scams.
Yep, and basically, he asked, "Hey, are you actually gonna like deliver
asked-
on your promise?" And he said, "No, I can't." And he said, "I just wanted followers. I thought I'd gain a lot off this."
Please don't
And
tell anyone, I beg. I can shout you out or anything.
mm-hmm.
This type of
So-
exploitation is not uncommon on social media and can be used to gain large quantities of likes, views, shares, or followers in short periods of time.
Yeah.
A few weeks or months after the hype has died down, these types of bogus accounts they can be known suddenly to revamp and become something completely different. For example, an account could be there was one a while ago which was claiming to do a similar thing that turned into something like little Jimmy sharing photos of his pet tortoise. It's somewhat of a bait and switch scam, just that people doesn't really affect people financially.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
they're my thoughts.
I think this is pretty scummy, actually. Getting nearly 500,000 followers off
yeah,
countless deaths and massacres, false promises, lies.
I mean, there's not, like, for example, there's not really much you can do to actually to see to support them. There's no real reasons I can think of
Mm.
just to argue why this could have been a valid thing in certain circumstances. There's really not many circumstances which I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, well, I can't think of it.
Exactly. And Money Munch, what do you think?
yeah. So next topic.
Yeah, but what do you think of this?
Yeah, your opinion on it.
Um,
I'm gonna mention one thing is I'm glad Instagram did act on this, and I guess thing is me saying that I wish more could be done hard because if check every single Instagram account that's been made, or you could get a AI thing to do it, but then
I-
that's gonna stuff up like YouTube's demonetization program.
I think it's quite a pity that people are so selfish and so corrupt that they could use a real world situation where people are dying, suffering, women, children are being murdered, and you can be so corrupt and use that to your advantage. I think there's no place for that to occur.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind. I think Instagram. I think the law actually should take things more seriously, corruption more seriously, not just on a political scale, but
I don't.
The
on
problem
all
is
levels.
this doesn't really involve money. That's the problem. They're claiming to
I know,
do anything, but
but
no one's physically losing anything from them doing this.
I know, but it
That's
still
the
falls
reason why
under
it
the
cannot be
corruption
acted
category.
under law.
But they only really gained attention,
Yeah.
no money exactly. And and the law can't exactly get involved because they haven't broken any laws. It's
Yes,
just moral
you can.
laws, not
You
societal
can.
laws.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And that's it for this topic. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
There's nothing else I want to comment on.
What do you? Anything else?
No.
That's it.
No. Yep.
We're on.
Yep. That's it.
Okay. That's it
So
for this
yep.
podcast.
At least this episode. We'll see if any more happen.
Yep. Hopefully.
So we're moving on to the next topic.
No, we're done.
There is no
Oh,
more
okay.
topics.
Okay.